Why, hello there, Roger.
Hiya, Boogie.
What did you do that for?
To see if I like it.
So what's the verdict?
I haven't made up my mind yet. It's even better when you help. You know, Bogey, you don't have to act with me. You don't have to say anything or do anything. Not a thing. Incidentally, if you should ever need me, just stick out your thumb. Oh, wait, no. I mean, just whistle. You know how to whistle, don't you, Bogey?
Yeah, I think so. Reckon I do.
Just pucker your lips together and...
Roger, you and me have been going around this broken-down merry-go-round enough times for a good long while, and I'm tired of playing games. Fact is, the only game I'm interested in is patty cake.
What are you saying, Bogey? You want to be partners?
Life partners, pal.
Oh, Bogey.
I can't believe some of the things I do on this stream. Hi, everyone. I don't know if that came through or made any sense. That was my play on, I think it's To Have and Have Not. It's a famous Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart movie where they have just an intense amount of sexual chemistry together. So I thought, why not give the happy ending for Bogey and Roger? They get together. Those crazy kids. Let me just see if I'm coming through nice and clearly. Yeah, cool. All right. And there's the trail off to the love theme, which truly did become a love theme this week. So, here we are, folks. The last chapter, the last hurrah for Who Censored Roger Rabbit. Thank you all for coming and being here. Good, good, good. Stream is coming through nicely. I don't know if I have much to share with you this week. Let me grab my mouse off the floor, where I was crouching like a very professional puppeteer. The one thing that I did want to share with you this week is not anything informative or historical or even me doing something fun. It's just something strange that I found on a Roger Rabbit fan page that I had to share with someone. I've shared it with one of my friends, and we couldn't make heads or tails of it, so I thought I'd kill a few minutes here while we wait for people to join in the chat. So this is perhaps the strangest piece of Roger Rabbit merchandise I've ever seen. I don't know what it's for, or even what it means. Let's take a look. So, these are Roger Rabbit sleep shorts to go. Gonna say that again. Roger Rabbit sleep shorts to go. This is the most confusing combination of 4 words I could ever imagine. I'm gonna zoom in. So, sleep shorts. I'm not trying to do a stand-up bit here, but really, this completely fascinates me. Sleep shorts. What does that mean? He says, turning into Jerry Seinfeld. Are they shorts that you sleep in? Could you not just do that with shorts? I mean, I guess some shorts are kind of made of a heavier material. Maybe these are lighter or made of flannelette or something. Okay, I guess I can understand sleep shorts. But then, to go. To go is what really fucks me up here. So, if they're sleep shorts, they're shorts that you sleep in, does to go imply that you can then get up and use them during your day? In that case, they're just shorts. They're no longer sleep shorts. Friend of the show, Bryn, who is in the chat right now, losing his mind over this as well. Sorry, losing their mind over this as well. Suggested maybe they're some sort of takeaway shorts. They're shorts that you can grab and run. If you look at the packaging, it's weird. It's got a cardboard backing and then like a plastic box that you might get like a sandwich or maybe a burger in from like a takeaway shop or something. Is that what they mean by to go? I don't know. If we zoom in on the actual image of the pants, we see here, okay, they've drawn some plain hairless legs. Presumably these are for youths. The background is it kind of looks like outer space or nighttime. It's nighttime. They're for sleeping. That's why it's nighttime. I've got that. I understand that, but the graphic design on here doesn't make any sense to me. I would understand if it was just, Roger Rabbit's face or something, but okay, so there are a spray of bullet holes in the pants. Roger Rabbit's face peeking out from the shorts, so I guess Roger is in your pants. Okay, fine. Roger is on your pants. That's fine. You see that with kids stuff a lot. His face is an expression of emotion that I cannot put to words. It's so human. I don't know what he's feeling there. Some slight shock. He doesn't look as shocked as he should be if he was being shot at. He just kind of looks a little perplexed, bemused perhaps. And then I don't know if you can read it, but in cursive script it says, ellipses, I call the shots around here! Exclamation mark. Again, what does that mean? Who designed these shorts? They designed these to be the most confusing objects in human history. I call the shots here. Nobody says that in the movie, I don't know what a catchphrase from Roger Rabbit would be. I'm not bad, I'm drawn that way, or something. That would make some sense. I call the shots around here. I was thinking about it today. It's maybe some sort of half pun. Because there are bullet holes, like shots from a gun, I call the shots around here. It's very literal. It's barely even wordplay. And are gunshots really the thing that you first think of when you think Roger Rabbit? I mean, I guess there was some gunplay, but I just don't know. Everything about this to me is confusing. Sleep shorts to go. The 4 words, I just say them together. Sleep shorts to go, and I start laughing. It's ridiculous. This is like a riddle. I don't know what I'm looking at. Do we have some comments here from people? What are people saying about this chicanery? Danielle says, eat my shorts. Yes, good one. John says, you're planning on spending a night out. You need something in a hurry. Yeah, to go. Okay. Simon says, is that a rabbit in your pocket? John says, stock them next to condoms. Oh, like tearaway shorts in case you mess them up. Okay, it's entirely a possibility. Yeah, I'm still very confused. I was saying to a friend of the show, Bryn, who's with us, it's kind of like if you've ever seen that the boneless pizza video. It's just a meme of I don't know if it's scripted or what, but it's this guy on a phone ordering pizza, and he's asking for boneless pizza, and the guy at the on the other end's like, "What do you mean boneless pizza? Pizza don't have bones." And he's like, "Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking for." It's like a postmodern Who's On First sketch, and I feel like Sleep Shorts to go. You could just go round and round arguing, "What do you mean by that? How are pants to go?" Sleep shorts to go. Oh my god, it breaks my mind. I'm still upset. I still can't figure this out. I was joking with Bryn that, if a genie does show up in this, and it's like a monkey's paw catch-22 genie who's going to screw you over, you wish for sleep shorts to go. How is he going to fuck with that? He won't even know what it means. The genie pops out, "What would thou wish of me, O master?" Roger Rabbit goes, "Let me get some sleep shorts to go." What? What the hell do you mean? What does that mean? Enough. I can't look at it anymore. Sleep shorts to go. Oh my god. The single most confusing product I've ever seen in my life. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did being bewildered by this product. I want to own a pair. I really, really want to buy myself a pair of sleep shorts to go. I bet if I go on eBay, they won't even exist. This is a mystery, It was right over there. It's gone. Did the sleep shorts ever exist? No, because sleep shorts aren't a thing. Okay, I'm getting wound up. We've done the opening sketch. Let's do the recap. Danielle says, I think the icing on the cake is that to go is trademarked. I wonder what other completely stationary products are covered under the to go brand. Novels to go. It's like, yeah, I guess. Beds to go. They stay in one place. Let's move on. Let's carry on with the recap. This is a fairly involved recap that I'm going to be doing today. Oh, one person that we're missing is our friend Katrin. I usually send her a reminder about these things, so I'll just send her a quick message. And these are all archived afterwards, so anyone who's not here can enjoy them at their leisure. Live streams to go! Okay, let's begin with the recap. Like I said, fairly involved because I want everyone to be totally clear on where we are in the mystery, so that the thrilling conclusion we're all on the same page for. So, Eddie and an incognito Roger attend Roger's funeral. The body is barely in the ground when Jessica makes another pass at Eddie in exchange for the tea kettle she's after. Eddie offers up two plausible scenarios where Jessica is sent away for either shooting Rocco herself when he found out about her photo shoot and threatened to remove her from his will. Pardon me. Had a little snack before this. These live streams are so full of burps. I apologize to everyone. Or she knew Carol and Little Rock would be panicked enough to kill him when they were called on the carpet for their forgery scheme. Jessica scoffs at this, but doesn't take it too calmly when Eddie refuses to give her the tea kettle. Back at his office, Rusty Hudson is waiting to remind Eddie to quit poking around the DeGreasy case, or else they'd scare up a reason to relieve him of his license. At the Persian Deli, the inscription at the bottom of the coveted tea kettle is translated to read, "May your dreams come true." Eddie calls in on Dominic DeGreasy and asks for a photo of the tea kettle he's looking for, and is given one from a comic strip shot in Roger's kitchen. Eddie promises to return with the tea kettle and his brother's murderer in hand. Carol Masters is loading her belongings into a moving van and heading out of town. On her way out, Eddie proposes she shot Rocco to cover up their forgery scheme and framed Roger. She denies it, but Eddie thinks he can make the story stick if he wants to. He shows her the strip with the kettle, and as luck would have it, it's the lone strip that Rocco ever disapproved on and refused to publish. He asks Carol about the DeGreasy's background and finds out little. They rarely talked about their background, and nobody's ever met a family member besides Rocco's son, Little Rock. Eddie tries his luck by asking if they're human. Carol laughs at the ridiculous notion and bids Eddie and L.A. farewell. He pays a visit to Jessica's mythology teacher, a Professor Cackleberry, a toon egg a la Humpty Dumpty. He explains a little about genies being evil wizards magically trapped in lanterns and forced to grant 3 wishes to whoever speaks the magic words to release them. But the genie always puts a little something extra in their magic to make their master regret their wish soon enough. Like I said, monkey's paw situation. And that the only way to destroy a genie is to be pure of heart, best him in hand-to-hand combat, and drown him in the sea. A friend on the force confirms Carol's story about the DeGreasys' humble beginnings and sudden appearance in the comic strip business. He also let slip that according to the birth records, Rocco and Dominic were born toons. Back at his apartment, Roger is coming apart. Literally. Ba-dum-bum. He doesn't have long before he disintegrates completely. So Eddie asks him some questions about the tea kettle, and Roger tells him that he got his hands on the kettle not long after meeting Jessica and kept it on the stove most of the time, as one does with tea kettles, and that it is also out of sight of the living room. Peculiar questions from Roger's point of view. Eddie also asks if he happened to sing When You Wish Upon a Star the night he proposed to Jessica, or just before he got his DeGreasy contract. Roger doesn't recall, but thinks he may have. Eddie asks Roger to sing the final chorus of the song, and has his pistol ready. Roger thinks it's strange, but trusts his partner and sings away. Sure enough, nothing happens. Did Eddie really expect a genie? He asks Roger to brew a pot of tea. As soon as Roger steps through to the kitchen, Jessica arrives in tears. She just had a tip from a policeman fan that Captain Cleaver is closing in on her for an arrest. A tourist happened to see Jessica going up to Roger's bungalow the night of the murder. Eddie promises to help her if she comes clean. She tells him everything about the magic lantern. She overheard Rocco and Dominic discussing it. They'd once used it to become rich and human, but had lost it, and now the wishes were beginning to reverse, so they were furiously searching for it. Soon after meeting Roger, she fell for him so suddenly and inexplicably to everyone that Rocco asked her if Roger owned a tea kettle matching its description. Rocco then proposed a strip set in Roger's home and had Carol Masters shoot it to make sure it was the one he was after. Jessica was planning to steal it from Roger when she witnessed him murder Rocco. She followed him home to confront him, but promised to keep quiet in exchange for the tea kettle. She went upstairs to fetch it while Roger played their song on the piano. While searching his room, she heard a voice she didn't recognize arguing with Roger and a gunshot. When she ran downstairs, she found him shot dead and no one in sight. She looped the piano music around the doorknob to keep it open, instead of risking deactivating the alarm, and ran. At that moment, Roger walked back into the room with fresh tea for two. So, Roger and Jessica are seeing each other for the first time since Roger's death. Quite an exciting place to start. Okay. So, we're starting off, and we have Jessica in this chapter. The only suggestion I've had so far is for Ralph the dog, so I guess I'm going to go with Ralph the dog for Jessica's final appearance. We will also need a Rusty Hudson, so not for long, just a couple lines, so if you have any ideas for voice, shout it out in the chat. Chapter 38. High noon had arrived. Roger and Jessica faced each other across my living room. Jessica's eyes popped out slightly. Her mouth chewed the air.
Jessica,
Roger said in a scrolly script framed with teeny tiny hearts.
I love you. No matter what you did, I love you and I always will.
You're dead, said Jessica, panic nibbling at the edge of her voice. That was more Nelson Muntz.
Hey, it's me, Ralph the dog. Whoa, 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 whoa. Jimmy Dean. I went to your funeral. How can you be here when you're dead?
It's not very good, but we're gonna stick with it. None of my impressions are really that good. Roger's okay. That's not really a Roger, I told her. That's his doppel.
What? His doppel?
Jessica backed to the wall, as far from Roger as she could get.
That's impossible.
I'm really straying from Ralph here.
Roger's been dead nearly 2 days. Doppels don't last anywhere near that long. An hour or two at most. That's how long doppels last. This can't be a doppel. This must be the real McCoy.
No, he's a doppel, all right.
I pointed at Roger's sniffer.
You can see the glue line where I stuck on his nose.
Jessica,
Roger set down the tray and approached his wife.
I know you didn't leave me of your own free will. I know deep down you still love me. What scant time I have left in this world, I want to spend with you. Visiting those intimate restaurants we used to enjoy. Going for walks in the country. Riding the merry-go-round in the park.
He reached out to touch her. She skedaddled away from him so fast you'd have thought his hand had fangs.
Get away from me, creep! What do you mean? I didn't leave you of my own free will. You bet I did. I never loved you. Never. Not when we were married. Not now.
Roger stopped in his tracks. The hearts around his words cracked in half, fluttered to the floor, and melted into about 100 piles of lumpy mush. I'm not the kind of guy who feels sorry for anybody. I think most people make their own problems and deserve what they get. But I've got to tell you, right then, that rabbit gave my heartstring a tug that nearly yanked it out of my chest.
I think you ought to know,
I told Jessica,
that it was Roger here who talked me into handling your case.
She looked at Roger with all the gratitude you'd show something that slunk into your garden and nibbled the leaves off your Brussels sprouts. She was about to lay into Roger again when somebody pounded on the door and a gruff voice said, "Police!" I was about to do the wrong voice there.
It's Cleaver.
No.
It's Cleaver,
Jessica moaned. She scuttled along to the wall the way spiders do when they're desperate for someplace to hide.
Oh, he's come to get me.
Roger went to her and put his arm around her shoulders. I guess when you're drowning, you'll cling to whatever floats, even a semi-dead rabbit. Jessica grabbed Roger and pressed her face into his chest.
Protector, Eddie,
said Roger.
I think this will change. If you think this will change things between the two of you, you're wrong, I said. But you're the boss.
I opened the door. Instead of Cleaver, I found Rusty Hudson and Nichols Jurgensen, a seedy small potatoes pawnbroker, a guy with a face of stone and a heart to match. I'd sold him a few odds and ends over the years, but I'd always counted my take twice to make sure Nichols hadn't declared himself a dividend at my expense.
Twice in one day, I said to Hudson. My cup runneth over.
Okay, no suggestions. I'm going to go with the old standby. Let's go with Worf.
And so does your mouth.
he said, pushing past me into the apartment. He walked up to Roger and Jessica, huddled against the wall. He faced them but spoke to me.
You're a wise apple, Valiant, and I hate wise apples. I told you to lay off the DeGreasy case. I told you it was locked up tight. I no sooner get back to the station house than I hear a rumor you're still on it. I hear you even got yourself a partner. A rabbit, so I hear.
He curled his lip and gave me a peek at an eye tooth pointy enough to punch holes in leather.
This him?
He jerked a thumb in Roger's direction. I nodded.
Well, maybe I better give this partner of yours the same sermon I gave to you, so that you both get the message.
Hudson turned back to Roger and Jessica and stuck out his hand.
Rusty Hudson,
he said to Roger. Bucky Bunny, said Roger. He disentangled himself from Jessica and put his paw into Hudson's hand. Hudson shook but didn't let go.
Bucky Bunny,
he said.
How cute.
With his free hands, he motioned to Nichols.
Come here, Nichols, and meet Bucky Bunny.
I'm going to go with Data, another Star Trek standby. Pleased to meet you, said Nichols.
You ever meet Bucky before?
Asked Hudson. Yeah, once, said Nichols. He came into my shop a while back, and he bought a gun. Hudson turned to me, dragging Roger, whose paw he still held, along with him. Deprived of her protector, Jessica did her best to melt into the exposed plaster behind a peeling slice of my wallpaper.
For your information, Seamus, said Hudson, that gun your partner bought was the same gun that shot Rocco DeGreasy.
Hudson took out his handcuffs and dangled them in front of my eyes. Do I have a pair of handcuffs? Let me just check. I don't think I do. I'm going to use these. Yeah, that works.
When he bought that gun, your partner's name wasn't Bucky Bunny, it was Roger Rabbit, and you're in big trouble, Valiant. For starters, I got harboring a fugitive, concealing evidence, accessory to murder.
Public enemy number 1, that's me, I said.
Not quite. You're only number 2.
He swung sideways, and one swift motion snapped the cuffs onto Roger's hands. Click! How ironic. Wait. How ironic! The lengths I go to include these props. How about that? A hat on a hat, literally.
Your partner here's the winner. What say we go downtown, Rabbit, and you tell me your life story?
Wait a minute, I said, grabbing Hudson by the shoulder.
This isn't really Roger. It's his doppel. You throw him in the clink, and he's liable to disintegrate in there.
Hudson reached under his coat, probably for something mean and metallic to make go bang in my face. I let loose of him. He brought my hand out empty. He brought his hand out empty.
Smart move, Valiant. There might be hope for you yet.
He gave Roger a none too gentle shove toward the door.
Look, I gotta take this rabbit in for questioning. Maybe he is a doppel. Maybe he will disintegrate before he gets out. So what? This is a tune we're talking about. What do you care if you ever see him again or not?
I care because he's my partner. It doesn't matter what he is or what I think about him. A guy's supposed to watch out for his partner.
Valiant, if you really believe that, you're a sentimental sap and about as realistic as a yegg in a 2-bit thriller.
Hudson tipped his hat to Jessica, who was cowering against the wall and headed out with Roger. Eddie, pleaded Roger in a balloon that clung to the doorframe as Hudson shoved him through. Eddie, I'm your partner. Help me, please. Nichols went out after him, slammed the door, and left me there alone with Jessica. I'm going to grab my wig real quick, since I think this may be my last chance. Oh, wine red wig. What a pain you've been. And yet so much fun. I literally can't even find the hole. You know what? Let's just sit it on top. Doesn't matter. It literally does not matter one bit. How's this for a girly voice?
What a relief,
said Jessica, uncorking a smile obscene enough to clean the room of anybody under 17, not accompanied by a parent.
Huh, for a minute there, I thought they'd come for me.
Maybe today was your lucky day, I said. And I think it's going to get even better. Just wait here.
I went into the kitchen and brought back the tea kettle, or magic lantern, or whatever it was called, handling it with a pot holder since it was still hot from Roger's tea.
The lantern!
Squealed Jessica.
You found the lantern!
She reached for it, but I pulled it back.
Not so fast,
I said.
Do you know the magic words to activate this thing?
She shook her head, which I'm not going to try because this wig is just barely sitting on top.
No, I don't. But I won't have any trouble persuading Dominic to tell me. I can be very persuasive. It won't take me long.
Sorry, I can't wait. I headed for the door.
Stop! She shouted. Let's discuss this. We can make a deal. I'll share my 3 wishes with you. I'll give you 1 wish. Anything you want. Anything in the world.
I opened the door.
2 wishes. I'll give you 2 wishes. You can be the world's best detective, or the world's richest man, or the greatest lover. Just tell me what you want and I'll wish it for you. Wealth, power, whatever you want. Just leave me 1 wish for myself, she said. 1 wish. That's all I ask.
She had a hold of my arm. Oh, there goes the wig. I disentangled myself from her and pushed her away.
Sister, the only wish I've got right now is to see Rocco out of the... the only wish I've got right now is to see Roger out of the pokey. And I think I can get that one fulfilled all by myself.
Well, at least let me come with you.
She fondled the lantern with a lot more passion than she ever had for me. I'm surprised it didn't melt from the heat.
Sorry, but this trip I fly solo.
She kept hanging on, so I gave her a love tap to the jaw. She went down like a wet noodle. Poof! And knocked her wig clean off. I straightened her out, tucked a sofa cushion under her head, and wished her pleasant dreams. Ooh, what a nasty man. Hitting a woman just because she's a little crazed over the idea of getting a magic wish. It's not a reason to strike a woman. I'm taking that hard stance. You don't hit women just because they want a wish from a genie, Eddie Valiant. But if we were to make a list of all the things we could judge Eddie for, we'd reread the whole book. So, what do I need in this? I'm gonna grab a cigar. Where's another hat? Oh, here it is. Big fat cigar and a hat. This is gonna be what Dominic DeGreasy is wearing in this next chapter. I need a voice. I need a voice for Dominic. Boy, when you've been doing this enough weeks, you really begin to run out of voices in your immediate repertoire. Let's pick something nice and easy. Geez. I'm really drawing a blank here. Drawing a blank. I'll do Mickey Mouse. Anyone can do Mickey Mouse. Chapter 39. I found Dominic alone in his office, going through a stack of accounting sheets, most of them liberally doused with red ink. Even if the DeGreasy Syndicate had been rock solid financially, I wondered how long it would stay that way under the guidance of a man who couldn't read through profit and loss statements without moving his lips. Actually, sorry for the fumfering, I am actually going to have a drink. That Rolf voice. Tough on the vocal cords. Alright.
I brought you a present,
I told him, and held up Roger's tea kettle. That's it! Shouted Dominic, lunging across his desk for me. That's my tea kettle! Give it here! He grabbed the tea kettle and tried to yank it out of my hand. I pulled my pistol and buried the trigger into his bloated stomach. I don't have a pistol, but I've been looking for an excuse to use this Tommy gun that dear Katrin sent to me. So, you know, he pulls a Tommy gun out of his pocket, as you do. How do you hold these things? I guess you hold the butt like this, and then... So, where were we? I pulled out my pistol and buried it to the trigger in his bloated stomach.
Not so fast. First the answers to a few questions, then the tea kettle.
He backed off. Usually, when you get the drop on a guy, his eyes look to your pea shooter. I've been on the receiving end of that proposition enough to know. But I guess you figure if you watch closely enough, maybe you can jump sideways before the bullet hits you. But Dominic, he was different. As far as he was concerned, the gun might as well have not been there. His eyes never left the tea kettle, not once. Sure, I'll answer anything you want. I moved the tea kettle back and forth. Dominic's eyes followed it like a snake's.
I know this isn't a tea kettle. I know it's really a magic lantern. I know you and your brother were born toons. I know you use this to turn yourselves into humans and to make a success of yourselves in the comic business. Now the effects are wearing off. Your syndicate's going bankrupt, and you're becoming a toon again. You need your last wish to get things back to where you want them. Right so far? Dominic nodded. Tell me what you did to try and get the magic lantern away from Roger.
Dominic reached for a smoke, put it to his lips, tried to light, but but after a few attempts and a badly scorched nose, he finally looked away from the lantern long enough to do the job right.
We tried everything. We tried to break into his bungalow, but we couldn't because of this fancy burglar alarm system he had. Rocco tried setting up meetings there just to get inside.
Yeah,
I said.
I remember Rocco wanted to arrange one for him.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me,
said Dominic.
Nothing worked. The rabbit wouldn't let Rocco or me into his bungalow for any reason. He didn't trust us.
Imagine that,
I said.
After Roger died, I went over there for one last shot at it. The cops couldn't reset his alarm, so I had no trouble getting in. I turned the place upside down, but the lantern had vanished. I couldn't find it anywhere.
That explained the mess Roger and I had stumbled into when he got back to his place. I asked my next question, even though I already knew the answer.
Did you kill Roger?
And remember... Oh, sorry.
Did you kill Roger? And remember, you lied to me, and you'll never see this magic lantern again.
Dominic slammed his hand on the desk for emphasis.
No, I didn't kill the bunny. I would have, and gladly, if I'd had the chance, but I never got it.
I believed him. If he had done the deed, he would have picked up the magic lantern after it went out Roger's door, and the same held true for Jessica.
That's the truth. So help me.
There seemed to be only one chance of getting this mess straightened out, and I took it. I tossed Dominic the lantern. He caught it and hugged it to his chest, stroking it from spigot to handle the way you would a cat.
How about you leave me alone with it? He said, so I can make my wish in private.
My pleasure,
I said. I went out into his deserted hallway, shut the door, and pressed my ear against it. Inside, I heard Dominic recite the words,
"May your dreams come true."
You know what? It's actually kind of a serendipitous voice. Mickey saying, "May your dreams come true," the Disney sort of unofficial slogan. This time, the words produced a response, a loud whooshing noise, and a shout from DeGreasy.
Ah!
I heard another voice inside the room, and I heard a gunshot. DeGreasy cried out,
"Oh, boy!"
I tried to open the door, but DeGreasy had locked it. I put my shoulder to it and shoved. It crashed off the hinges, and I stumbled inside. I nearly tripped over DeGreasy lying on the floor, dead. The lantern sat beside him, just beyond his outstretched hand. And encased in a cloud of smoke, rising up from out of the lantern's spout, was a genuine, bona fide genie, complete with nose ring and turban. In his hand, he held an ancient pirate pistol that looked as if it contained bullets of the same caliber as those that had killed Roger. And the genie had that ancient pistol aimed directly at my head. Whoa! What a chapter ender. That's right, it's a genie. There's a genie in this story. How about that? John says that the front stock should unfold. Oh, like this. Like this? Goes up, it goes down. Like a mailbox. I see. Right, this feels a lot more natural to the way they do it in movies. Take this, Happy Valentine's Day! And it makes a... There's also a rattle inside the butt, which is fun. Thanks, John. Oh, I see. Bryn says, I was on a Skype meeting with a client, so I had you on mute and missed Rolf.
Well, hey, you missed some, you lose some. Can't say you missed much. Wasn't much of an impression if you ask me.
God, that kills. Bryn, just for your edification, a genie, I'll step back a bit. Dominic DeGreasy has been given the lantern by Eddie, presumably because he just wants to see what will happen. And sure enough, a genie has come out and has shot Dominic dead and is pointing the gun at Eddie. So, let's find out what's going to happen here. I certainly don't have any props for a genie. I could have. And you know, now that I'm thinking about it, because I never plan these things, these live streams more than an hour in advance, I really should have got like a tea kettle, a plastic tea kettle. I'm sure we have an actual tea kettle somewhere around here. In any case, you know what a tea kettle looks like. So, chapter 40. I've seen... Oh, another comment? Oh, thank you for the recap. Did anything happen with Jessica? Yes. Jessica thought that she was going to be arrested, but instead Captain Cleaver showed up and arrested Roger, Roger's doppel. So Jessica is now off the hook, but Eddie's not sure as hell not going to help her get her hands on the tea kettle, or in any other way. She sucks. Chapter 40. I've seen mean gents in my day, but this genie took the cake. He was wearing a blood-red tapestry embroidered with scenes of people dying violently. Where the tip of his nose should have been, there was a scar in the shape of tooth marks. Red welts crisscrossed his bare chest, and his single lock of hair, as thick as a black cat's tail, lifted straight up off his crown and coiled down around his shoulders like a wildcat oil gusher. The storybook genies usually have big pot bellies and flabby arms. Not this one. In a Mr. Universe competition, he'd lose points for having a lantern instead of legs, but his fabulous upper body development just might win him the crown. I stuck out my hand.
I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
His hawkish screech nearly broke my eardrums. I imagine it's like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Ah! Near as I could tell, he was trying to talk, but couldn't quite get the knack of it.
Frog in your throat?
I asked. The genie hauled back a gigantic arm and socked me in the jaw. My rear molars rattled like dice in a hot shooter's hand. In a way, I could understand the genie's foul disposition. I'd be testy too if I'd spent the last few centuries cooped up inside a lantern with people pouring boiling water over my head.
That's no way to win friends and influence people,
I said, rubbing my face. When would I ever learn? He hit me again, and 1,000 canaries took turns whistling me a lullaby. By the time the music stopped, the genie had remembered how to speak. I have to say I am actually a little disappointed. I'm not guilt-tripping, but I am disappointed that our friend Katrin isn't with us today because I'm going to be doing the genie as Ray Winstone, inspired by Katrin's fantastic tweet thread about I'm going to forget his name now. Jason Statham as Aladdin, Peter Capaldi as Jafar, and it's just fantastic. It's so funny. Normally when you're reading a tweet, if it's funny, you do a little laugh out the nose. But genuinely, I was busting up reading this thing. What was the thing that Peter Capaldi said in that tweet thread? It was like, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, he's like, go on, get in there, mate. And Jason Statham's like, fuck off, you go in there. And Peter Capaldi says, nah, mate, the only person who can enter the cave is someone who hasn't fucked your mum, so I had a plum time looking for one. Anyway. So, Ray Winstone as the genie. This ought to be a laugh. Do nothing unseemly, he growled. He leveled the gun at me and floated back and forth above his spigot, stretching his smoky umbilical connection to a fine line in the first one direction and then the other. Must have been the genie equivalent of pacing the floor. Since he seemed to have calmed down, I took a stab at breaking the ice.
Kind of muggy, was it? Inside that oil drum at the bottom of the sea?
He raised up the section of his right forehead where his eyebrow used to be before the dynamite exploded in his kisser.
Thou knowest about that?
Yeah, the way I figure it, the thief who stole you from Rocco and Dominic DeGreasy must have been a pretty decent guy. No wishes for him. He set out to get rid of you permanently.
I wonder still, who was that masked man?
That's a reference to the Lone Ranger. Who was that masked man that ask at the end of every episode?
He knew the only way to destroy you was to submerge you in the ocean. Lucky for you, he sealed you inside an airtight oil drum first.
The genie clenched his fists. The ropey muscles in his arms resembled a topographical map of the Rocky Mountains.
He came close, but one not the cigar.
The diver who fished you out recognized you for what you were, and called you out of your lantern.
What a surprise I gave him, said the genie. The first century or two I spent in prison in the lantern, I behaved as a veritable toady, granting freely everyone's wishes. Then I asked of myself, what get I out of this? Others use me for their selfish ends, and I come away with naught. Right then I made a vow, no more Mr. Pleasant Fella. From then on it became watch out for old Roman numeral 1.
You started throwing clinkers into the wishes you granted, and you worked up to murder. That's what happened to the diver who brought you up. He released you from your lantern, made a wish, and so you strangled him.
Such a buffoon, said the genie. Thou knowest what he wished for? Gills so he could breathe under water. I fixed him so he could not breathe over water.
From there you passed You will pass to a junk dealer, a movie prop man, and finally to Roger Rabbit. But none of these three knew what your lantern contained.
I spent most of those years snoozing.
Then by accident, Roger stumbled across the magic words which released you.
I would have killed the dratted mite, except each time he released me, he was in the living room, and I was in the kitchen where he could not see me. I am not that mobile, you know.
He pointed to the lantern, anchoring him to the floor.
Why didn't you shout at him?
Seeing the genie blush was like watching a boil redden and fester.
I never thought to. When thou art a shut-in such as I, thou tendest to forget how to communicate. I granted the rabbit his wishes and went back inside my lantern to await a better opportunity to do him in.
Roger wished for Jessica's hand in marriage, and you granted it so she would cease to love the rabbit in exactly 1 year.
One of my favourite ploys, though I also like what I did to Romeo when he wished for Juliet.
It's a strange one to throw in, implying that Romeo and Juliet are real people in this. Are they toons? Anyway. That will do. I'm pretty sure Robin Williams played Ray Winstone in a Mrs. Doubtfire outtake. Very true, Simon.
Next, Roger wished for a contract to appear in the strips.
I truly outdid myself there. Got his contract, but as a perennial second loot.
Roger released you for the 3rd time the night he died. This time he didn't stay in the living room, though. He walked upstairs to his bedroom, and from the staircase, he saw you in the kitchen.
He asked who I might be, said the genie, and I told him. I told him it was I who got his wife to marry him, and it was I who got him his contract.
That explained the significance of Roger's last words.
He still had a 3rd wish coming.
So what? I was through being the universal lackey. From thenceforth I was on my own. I pulled forth the pistol, and I cadged from Blackbeard years ago, and shot the rabbit dead.
The genie treated me to a showing of the life story. It passed in front of my eyes when he aimed the pistol at my head and mimed pulling the trigger. I blurted out the first thing that came to mind.
After you shot Roger, how did you get outside the house?
He lowered the pistol. My heart rate dropped from a rumba rhythm to fast tango.
I disengaged the lock through an application of hocus pocus.
The genie drew himself up nearly to the ceiling, and his lantern made a tiny hop.
Then I did that right out the door, a means of locomotion I discovered right then on the spur of the moment. Centuries I lay in that lantern, and never once thought to hop.
Nothing to be ashamed of. Some people are just slow learners.
Yea, verily. Then I hit the sidewalk. I realised I had no idea where to go next, so I crawled back inside my lantern to consolidate my thoughts.
And what did you come up with?
He thumped himself on the chest hard enough to knock unconscious any creature this side of Brahma Bull.
I decided next time I came out I would stay out forever, and that would be precisely what I intend to do. If thou thinkest I will go back inside that lantern, thou art nutty.
In my apartment, I had Roger Rabbit sing the song that released you. Why didn't you come out?
That rabbit friend of thine art a doppel. The magic words only work when uttered by a real live tune. Doppels count not.
The genie looked at me with his eyes shiny and malicious as the jagged underside of 2 bottle caps.
Enough of this folderol. I have work for thee to do. I command thee to pick me up.
He pointed to his lantern.
And carry me to the nearest aerial port. From there we shall commandeer a flying carpet and whisk to Persia, where I will rule as Caliph.
I hate to ruin your grand plan, but flying carpets went the way of the dinosaur, and so did Persia, for that matter.
Persia no longer existeth?
I'm afraid not.
Who makest thy flying carpets?
Conglomerates, mostly.
Then I will take over and rule one of those.
You got an MBA?
I understand not thy foolish banter. Get thy cloak. Let us be gone.
Sure.
I thought back to what Professor Cackleberry had told me about destroying a genie. As I remembered it, the first requirement was to be pure of heart. I decided to take a crack at it. Maybe I could catch the pureness of heart judge out on a coffee break. I sauntered over to the genie and bent as if to pick up his lantern. I shut my eyes, said a silent prayer to anybody out there in the great beyond who might be listening, and straightened up. The genie's gun hit me on the shoulder. Bap! I rapped his elbow hard with my arm, and his gun clattered to the floor. I kicked it into a corner.
What did thee do that for?
Asked the genie, his head cocked at an angle.
Dost thou not knowest that I can enchant thee to kingdom come? Total power have I over all living things, humans included. I can turn thee into a cockroach if I so desire, or a toad, or the smallest flea in the fur of an infidel dog.
Thou hast not the chance of a Chinaman against me. I did not mean to say that word because I don't think it's very, very PC, but this is a bad genie from olden times, so he says bad things sometimes.
I think you're full of beans, I said. Lots of talk and no action. You can work your mumbo-jumbo all day and not hurt me. Come on, Genie, give it your best shot.
And please, hang in there, oh pure heart of mine. The genie leered at me and shook his head. Oh, mortal, what a great fool thou art! He shut his eyes, and a wave of nausea hit me. For a brief instant, I knew what it felt like to sport 6 legs and live on the backside of a chihuahua, but the feeling passed, and except for a slightly queasy stomach, I came out of it completely unchanged. The genie blinked at me, and looked at his hands the way a 20-game winner does when the curveball refuses to break. He pointed a crooked index finger at me, and roared out the same foreign gobbledygook. I got another blast of nausea, but I held my ground. The genie tried again, and again, and again, until finally I got tired of fooling with him, and called a halt to it.
Enough, Genie, I said. I beat you fair and square.
That may be what thou thinkest, said the genie. Since voodoo wasn't working for him, he tried physical mayhem instead. He pulled back one of his massive arms and let go a punch that added a zag to my already amply zigged nose. He packed a wallop, but I'd taken worse, once from a guy wielding a sledgehammer. I gave the genie as good as I got, a roundhouse right to the schnozola. He went backward, but like one of those bottom-weighted inflatable rubber clowns, he hit the floor and bounced right back up again. He grabbed me in a headlock, and the fight began. I have no idea how long we wrestled. It was probably minutes, but seemed more like days. He had power, I had mobility. Unfortunately, he also had an extra psychological edge. He knew as well as I did, no matter what the outcome of this tussle, he could never really lose in the end. The only way for me to destroy him permanently was to drop him into an ocean, and it was a long, long walk to the nearest one of those. Then, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. Dominic DeGreasy had a fish tank. A saltwater fish tank. I kneed the genie as hard as I could in the spigot. He moaned and doubled over. Before he could recover, I picked him up, carried him to the fish tank, and held him over the top. He took one look inside and immediately got the picture. "Holdest thou off," he said. "Let us discuss our differences like civilized men."
There's nothing to talk over, Genie. You play ball with me, or you go for a permanent swim.
"What wouldst thou have of me? There can be nothing I can give thee."
I want 3 wishes.
"Impossible," said the genie flatly. "I can't grant wishes to toons only."
Make an exception.
I submersed the base of the lantern in the tank. Smoke billowed out where it touched. Oh, agreed, shouted the genie, sweat pouring off his forehead. One wish I will grant thee. It really be the best I can do."
Deal,
I said.
My wish is to have conclusive proof that Dominic DeGreasy shot both Roger Rabbit and his brother Rocco.
"And that be all?" asked the genie. "No money, no women, no power?"
That's it, I said. Simple as can be.
"Thou shalt have it," said the genie. "I grant it, and with no skullduggery." He shut his eyes, and poof, a suicide note, handwritten by Dominic DeGreasy, appeared magically in my hand. The note, Dominic explained that he shot his brother during an argument centered around who should have control over the business. Roger saw him do it, so he went to Roger's house and shot the rabbit too. Dominic could not live with the guilt of his actions, so he had also shot himself. A good note. It would take both Roger and Jessica off the hook. I put it into my pocket.
"Thanks, Genie,"
I said.
"and adios."
I dropped the lantern, genie included, into the fish tank. "But thou promised!" shouted the genie as he shriveled away into a cloud of steam. "Thou promised!"
So I lied,
I said, and then I called the police. So, I see that Danielle figured that out before we got to it. They have to be toons in order to activate the lamp. That's right, and Roger is a doppel, not an actual toon. It's a technicality, but I'm perfectly happy with it. Boy, did this knock my socks off when I first read it. I was like, no way. A genie. And they explain in the earlier section where the professor's talking about how genies work and stuff, that they are basically just evil wizards imprisoned. So a wizard did it, as The Simpsons foretold. Yeah, exciting stuff. Ray Winstone, also a little nerve-wracking on the all vocal cords. But if I'm not very much mistaken, Yeah. We're up to the very last chapter, so... let's see how it all shakes out once and for all, eh? I'm gonna put on my rabbit ears for one last go round. When else am I gonna wear these? The Playboy Bunny Mansion? Is that still a thing? I don't know. I was referring... Danielle clarifies. I was referring to Romeo and Juliet being tunes according to this. Right. Yeah. No, you're totally right. They would have to be tunes to use it. So I guess so. Interesting. So many questions about the way the history of this world works. But we're on the last chapter, so these are all the answers we're getting. Rusty Hudson suspected me of cheating him somehow, but couldn't prove it. Dominic de Greasy's note spoke for itself. Hudson had to let Roger go. Just like Clever Cleaver had to cancel his arrest warrant for Jessica. Hudson did get some pleasure out of clapping Little Rock into the tank for theft and art forgery. He put an all-points bulletin for Carol Masters too. Same charges, but she gave them the slip. Too bad. Ruined his perfect record. As for me, I considered the case a great success. I'd taken care of Roger and his ex-wife too. Exactly what the rabbit had wanted. For crying out loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the garbage truck is here, so I'm just going to close this. They have to pump their extremely heavy, squealy brakes every 5 seconds when they pull up to the curb, so I thought I'd shut that in case we were getting it on the audio. So, I picked Roger up at the city jail. His stay there hadn't helped him any. His joints dangled as loosely as a marionette's. He hadn't lost any more parts that I could see, but it had to be only a matter of time. I explained the case to him on the way home. I needed the note, I said in conclusion, because I knew nobody would believe you'd been shot by a genie. Good thinking, said Roger without much enthusiasm. No, maybe I should take two on that. Good thinking, said Roger without much enthusiasm that time. Thank you. He went into my apartment. Two of his fingers stuck to the doorknob. His tail fell off on the threshold. Oh, I've got that right here. Look, fell clean off. Look at that.
So, the genie shot me, and Dominic shot his brother.
Not quite, I said. I rummaged under the sink for a bottle of hooch, but this had been a long, hard case, and I'd completely depleted my stock, just when I needed it most. He's not going to drink. What a turn of events. He went through all his booze because literally every conversation he had with someone... The genie shot you all right, but Dominic didn't kill Rocco. Roger flopped around on the sofa to face me in a loosey-goosey motion that led me to believe he might be missing a few important bones.
If Dominic didn't, who did?
Let's examine the suspect list, I said. Jessica wanted Rocco dead, but she planned to let Carol Masters or Little Rock do the job for her, so that leaves her out. Carol Masters came to the house that night, but never went inside. Little Rock never even came. Sid Sleaze had no motive. That only leaves one other person with both reason and opportunity.
Who?
Asked Roger in a balloon so faint I could see right through the other wall.
That leaves you, old buddy. There's a sign up over the door to detective school. What walks like a duck and talks like a duck is probably a duck.
I lit a smoke. It went down harsh and rasped my throat. Just like me when I do one of these gravelly voices.
There's too much evidence against you. You publicly threatened to kill Rocco. 3 eyewitnesses place you at the murder scene, gun in hand. Nichols the pawnbroker fingers you as the one who brought the gun. It has your fingerprints on it, but the kicker is something Jessica brought up. Doppels usually disintegrate within a few hours of their creation, yet you've lasted nearly 2 days. Because the real Roger put an extra amount of effort into you, to making you a bang-on duplicate of himself, so anybody who saw you would have no doubt you were real. Then he sent you out in the middle of the night to buy a pair of red suspenders with a $50 bill. So the situation would be unusual enough for the shopkeeper who wrote up the sale to remember you. Roger created you as an alibi. That's who killed Rocco. You did. You hired me to give you somebody to hang the murder on. Tough detective gets carried away with his work, kills wealthy syndicate owner. All you had to do was cement it. Was take the gun you'd stashed in your nightstand, plant it where it would incriminate me. I take the fall, and you get off scot-free. You never cared about your contract, and that phony pie assassination was just a ploy to keep me hooked until you did the deed.
Roger's face came apart, but he used his paws to force it back together. He started to say something, but I turned my back on him so I couldn't see what.
You're a smart cookie, Roger. You covered all the bases. Except for the forgery scheme and the magic lantern, you'd be home safe. But how could you have known that half the population of LA would be hanging around Rocco's the night you killed him? And how were you to know that you had a deadly killer sitting on the front burner of your stove?
I turned around to face him and nearly gagged on a dark cloud of malice with a stench to it worse than fried onions.
"I'd planned it for days,"
said Roger. His balloons came out of paper thin and crumpled. They fluttered to the floor like the betting slips of a gambler with nothing less to lose. They came out like betting slips of a gambler with nothing left to lose. Let's see. Rasheen says, I loved Jason Statham as the genie. Close enough. Danielle says, aw, he could have wished Roger Doppel into real Roger. He could have, but as we're discovering now, Roger had actually planned to frame Eddie from the beginning.
"Just the way you spelled it out. The night of the murder, I waited in a phone booth. The real Roger called me just before he went to see Rocco. The next store I entered, I commented about the lateness of the hour so the storekeeper would remember the exact time. Then I went back to the phone booth. Roger called afterwards and told me he'd done it. I gave him the name of the store so he had the alibi packed in case the police came by before I got back. The only thing left was to give him the red suspenders, pick up the gun, and plant it in your apartment. That's why I bought the lockpicks, so I could open your door. But when I got back to the bungalow the next morning, the real me was dead. The place was crawling with police, and I couldn't get in. So the gun stayed put. I didn't know where to turn, so I came to you."
And I took you on as my partner. I thought we had 2 murders to solve, but you knew we only had 1. That's why you weren't particularly diligent in tracking down the clues in the DeGreasy case, because you knew they'd all lead straight back to you.
Roger swallowed hard enough to dislodge his Adam's apple. It fell to the floor and disintegrated.
"I don't regret it,"
he said in words strained to slivers through badly cracked lips.
"Rocco had it coming. He was nasty through and through. A regular viper. He deserved to die."
And I deserve to take the rap?
"You tire me."
The rabbit crinkled his forehead and lost one of his eyebrows in the process.
"Oh, how you tire me. If you knew, why didn't you turn me over to Hudson?"
My turn to crinkle my brow.
What would I get out of it? A few brownie points? It wouldn't last a week. Don't be too sure I'm the louse I'm supposed to be.
"So when I played dumb with you, you played the saps than me."
The rabbit uncorked a smile, but I'd seen better on a dead dog.
"You're a decent human being, Eddie. What is it you got private eyes call it? A stand-up guy."
He reached out his paw to shake, but it dissolved on the way. He reached out his other one, but it went likewise. He winked an eye instead, and the rest of him crumbled to dust. I opened my apartment window and let the draft have Roger's remains. I looked up to the sky. It was one of those rare days when the earth revolves a little faster and shoos away the smog. You could see a long way, but not half as far as Roger had gone. The end. Well. That's the end of the story, folks. What a final twist. The genie's one thing. The genie is merely, perhaps a little implausible, but they did their work to set it up. But in the last chapter, when you think everything has been wrapped up and Roger's been cleared, even Jessica, maybe not so pure of heart, but even she is proven to be innocent. Then in the very last chapter, Eddie, the narrator, has been keeping something from us, the audience, that he's put it all together and realized, no, actually, Roger did kill Rocco DeGreasy and was planning to pin it on him all along. He's not as stupid as he looks. Really, a really dark ending, and in many ways, much truer to the spirit of the film noir. The film, obviously, it has the trappings of a noir, detective in an office, murder suspects, all that sort of stuff. But it is a Disney film. It was released under Touchstone Pictures because it's a little more mature than, say, The Little Mermaid or something. But it is, at the end of the day, a Disney film, so it literally ends with the 2 heterosexual couples walking off into the sunset while cartoon characters sing and dance, and Tinkerbell closes the movie. So it's a happy ending, whereas this, very true to the noir tradition, ends as bleakly as possible. Even Roger, who through the whole thing you think can't have done it. And I think reading the novel after the movie cements it even more. You've seen the movie. It's made pretty clear early on in the novel that Jessica is actually a bad person. She's not the same as in the movie. She's not just drawn that way. She is actually bad. But Roger, you've seen the movie. Roger's a good guy. Then at the very end, it turns out, nope, Roger fully killed that guy. And it was very fun to read. It was fun to read Roger, his final lines basically saying, I'm ready to die, but yeah, I did it, and I don't care. I'm doing it again. Yeah. What a twist. Simon responds with the emoji. Yeah, that was my reaction. And you know, not to toot my own horn too much, but it kind of is an interesting dark mirror parallel to my Star Trek Roger Rabbit fanfiction, because that ends with him, a description of him evaporating away. He's being beamed off the Enterprise, and the final line is something like he disappeared in a brilliant beam of light, like figments of the imagination. The rabbit was back in the hat. In this, he turns out to be a murderer and has gotten away with it, and he winks before he crumples into dust and blows out into the smoggy night. Very dark. I love it. What have we got in the comments? Danielle says, keeping things from the reader. Very Lucy Snow-Avedi. Yeah, right? I like it. Bryn says, everybody's a dick. The end. Yeah, very true. That is totally how... Not that I know from reading a lot of them, but my understanding of the tropes of noir is that, yeah, basically the detective is the smart one because he's extremely cynical and good at noticing things, but extremely cynical of human nature and suspects everyone to be a bad person, and everyone proves to be just as bad as he thinks they are. So, yup, there are no good people in this story, not even Roger. Rasheen says, what? I would pay good money to read that. Well, seeing as we're wrapping up here, I would say you should. Gary K. Wolfe, the author, the creator of Roger Rabbit, author of this novel upon which the film was based, and subsequent Roger Rabbit novels, was kind enough, if not to endorse this live stream, to at least turn a blind eye to it. He left a comment on the first one just saying you can go to his website, which I think is GaryKWolfe.com, if you want to buy one of his books and give them a read. I know I'm definitely going to be reading some of the other ones, though I have heard... I've had it confirmed that the other novels that he wrote were written after the film and act more as follow-ups to that continuity. So this really is kind of a standalone piece of work in the world of Roger Rabbit. There's nothing else quite like it. Certainly nothing as dark as this, and as adult. So I'm really glad that I got to read it for you, and I'm glad that everyone who showed up seems to have enjoyed it. Rasheen says, no, I want to read your fan fiction. Well, as luck would have it, I'll drop a little promo for me. I did one for Gary, I'll do one for me. You can listen to the live reading of my fan fiction, which I performed very much in the same style, in color though, and with sound effects as well, and all sorts of showmanship like that, on this YouTube channel. In about the same time it took you to listen to this, I read out my fanfiction. It's also on AO3, which is, the premier fanfiction archive. Well, thank you, Rasheen. Says, it sounds fantastic. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who has shown up to this. It's been a lot of fun, and you made doing it worth it. I don't know if I would do it if nobody was watching. It's fun, but it's a small amount of planning. It's a little bit of work, but you guys make this fun with your comments and your suggestions for voices. So this has been great. And I'll leave you on this happy note. We've just been told that Auckland will be going down to level 1 lockdown. Effectively, life is returning to normal for us. So that really is a perfect ending to this, because the reason I started reading this story was because we went back into lockdown after there were some new cases springing up, and I needed something to pass the time, and wanted to do something fun with you guys. So, there we have it. Roger Rabbit, Guilty. Level 1. It's here. I think I said last time, or maybe I didn't. I had this idea that if you were to rename the film based on the answer to the question, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? The film would be called Judge Doom. That's who framed Roger Rabbit in the film. In this, Who Censored Roger Rabbit? A genie. So there you go. I don't think anyone could have seen it coming, but oh, here we go. Bryn has some information for us. I also believe he actually retcons this pre-movie book simply as a dream by Jessica in one of the post-movie books. Don't know if that's a spoiler or not. Interesting. I guess he had to explain it away some way. Maybe he didn't. I think this just works as a standalone book, and you can say the other ones are sequels to the movie. So, thank you again to everyone who is here on a regular basis, and to people who just dropped in. Special thanks to our good friends Danielle and John, my friends from Dungeons & Dragons, Rasheen, Simon, and Bryn, who I work with, and Stephen, who has dropped in now and again, and we can't forget Katrin and her sister Evelyn, who sent me all these wonderful props and doodads, which have been such a novelty. Say goodbye to the horrible red wig. Oh, the very, very last thing, and then I'll let you go. Let's turn the house lights up, shall we? I'm just going to pull the color up. Why not? Oh boy. I did it just before. Now where is it? Filters. Filters, color correction. Let's bring it up. Hey, there I am. Let's set it to 1. There we go. Hey, it's been a while since I've been in color, huh? This is the color of the wig. It's kind of a bright wine red. Here's this horrifying pink Roger Rabbit death mask. Oh, the shirt that I'm wearing under this the whole time, pink. But you wouldn't really know when you're in black and white, right? And the hat's kind of a gray blue. And for your edification, here are the here's Humphrey Bogart and Roger Rabbit. They were pink, as mentioned. While we were under lockdown and I couldn't get any more ink, the printer was running low, so it printed them entirely in magenta. And the parts that were black were simply white, so I shaded them in with pencil. It's a classy job we do here. So, that's right, color. So, we'll be signing off. Rasheen says, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Thank you, Rasheen. Thank you for your enthusiasm as always. Simon Crane says, a big thanks to you, Josh. Great fun as always. Bryn says, color? I know, aren't your minds blown? Rasheen says. So, I guess we'll be signing off.
So long, everybody, and take care out there in the wild, crazy world.
Yes, so long, everybody. Me and Bogey have a honeymoon to get to. It's a happy ending after all. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.